Welcome to Fool's Ball, where you're always surrounded by fools. And look, to the left of me, we've got the brains of the operation, introducing Neckbeard.
I'm on the right, brother.
Hey, Neckbeard, what's best in life?
There's only two things that matter in life: sex, football, and rock and roll. And yeah, it's two things when you're doing it right.
Whoa. And to the other left of me, we've got the brawn of the operation. He obviously doesn't have a brain with that flag on the wall. The OG roadie for the Golden Girls, Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Hey, what's up, brother? You learn a lot being on the road with the girls, especially with Oak Park, Illinois' very own Betty White. She teaches you a lot about love, football, and a special meaning to bear down. Let's get to it.
Wow. Let's go. Time for the mock draft. Whoa, dudes. Welcome to the 2025 Fool's Ball NFL Mock Draft. And we have our offseason expert to the left of me here, David Greengrass. David, what makes you an offseason expert?
Oh, one of the joys of being a Bears fan is our off season. It starts 2 months before everyone else. We start beginning our prep the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Wow, what an amazing quality as a human being. And then we have our draft expert, Mr. Neckbeard. Neckbeard, what are you excited about for this year's mock draft?
I'm really excited that we're going to do a different format. We're going to have a clock for each of us at a minute 30. We're going to take turns in the draft. So we're going to go 1 through 32, starting with Hype, then Chief Greengrass, then to myself. Through the teams, we're going to have trades. We're going to have discussions. We're going to have a presentation on each of the teams that you guys can see. So there's some visuals and we're not just staring at the PFF screen all day. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm ready when you guys are.
All right, let's start the draft. Whoa, dude.
All right. Dudes, number 1, Tennessee Titans going first overall. That pick belongs to Mr. Hype. What are you going to do? Tennessee Titans, you're on the clock.
Whoa, look at this dude. Look at this bro. He's made of granite. He's solid. He's strong. We need a strong man to lead this organization. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember back in the day when they had Country Strong at quarterback? I think we're going to get Country Strong again, and we're going to go with Cam Ward, the guy that can throw an 80-yard bomb while he's getting sacked because he doesn't have any protection. But yeah, this guy reminds me of Titan quarterbacks in the past. They've had some legends out there. And I think maybe with that bazooka arm, he can bring them back to being an important team in the NFL.
All right, let's go to the PFF board and see where we got Cam Ward. We're going to pull him up right here. 21 overall, doesn't matter. Probably the best quarterback in the draft going to the Titans. They desperately need one. Let's see if he survives the season. Cam Ward to the Titans. Everybody knows what's happening. All right, we're moving on to the Cleveland Browns. Chief Greengrass has the Cleveland Browns. You are on the clock, Chief. What are we doing with the Browns?
A lot of people out there are wondering, do they move in quarterback? They're trying to get rid of their old quarterback's contract. That's just been toxic for them. But at this point, they're not really at a position. Why not build up the team, make it a little bit stronger for the next quarterback that you're going to get either later in the draft or preferably next year when you have better talent? Travis Hunter stated he'd retire from football if an NFL team didn't allow him to play on both sides of the ball, as he's done throughout his career. That shows he's just got some dog in him, what you need in the dog pound. He can be the slottiest player you've ever seen going both ways. Slot corner, slot wide receiver, allows him to get breathers on the field. He's a fantastic weapon to pair with Judy and David Njoku. Should be a whole lot of fun for Cleveland for the next couple of years.
Very good. Let's check the PFF board. Let's see. We got Travis Hunter going to the Cleveland Browns. All right.
Boom.
Best athlete in the draft this year, no question about it. I think Travis Hunter's a no-brainer, and I love that he says he has to play both ways or you don't draft me. Gotta love the moxie there. and dude can back it up. He played, he played pretty much every snap on offense and defense for the Buffaloes. So
He's one of only 2 people to have their jersey retired by the Colorado Buffalo this year.
That's right. Travis Hunter and Chief Greengrass, in case anybody was wondering. Yeah. So great pick here by the Browns. Now we're moving on to the New York Football Giants. So a lot of talk that maybe they're going to take that retired number player, Shedeur Sanders, at number 3. But honestly, the Giants, with their history, with how they win with defense, guys. Like, if you think about those teams in the 80s and LT that defined the position, if you think about the Giants in the 2000s when they had Manning, they had a absolute monster defensive line that shut down Tom Brady twice. Thanks for that, Giants. So I think number 3 overall, you got to go with the best player available, and the best player available is another extremely talented defensive end. That's going to be Abdul Carter, going to the New York Giants. All right, now we're just moving up the road there to the New England Patriots. Doug Hype's got them. What are we going with the Patriots this year?
So this is the thing about the New England Patriots. I'm a big-time Packer backer. They've got the son of legendary Green Bay Packer GM, and his name is Elliott Wolf. He's his first year as the GM. We're not really sure what he's going to do, but they've got Vrabel coming in as a coach. And if there's one thing that I know that Vrabel wants, and he wants granite, okay? He wants a really strong defense where the defensive line can clear way for those linebackers like they've done through the history of those championship teams with the Patriots. I think he's going to bring the Patriots back to glory through defense. It's really tempting to get an offensive weapon here for their young quarterback, maybe offensive lineman. But if the Patriots want to feel good about themselves, they need to be hard like granite, like a Freemason, all right? And we're going to go with the one and only Mason Graham, okay? This guy is a superstar in the defensive line. He can play the run. He can pass rush. He can do everything. He's going to be a mismatched nightmare for other teams, and I think this is how the Patriots assert themselves back in the picture of the AFC East.
All right, Mason Graham, old short arms himself, but puts up a whole lot of production at the University of Michigan. Big get there for the Patriots. Very talented player. And now we're moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We've got Chief Greengrass picking here. Chief, who are they going to take with the 5th overall pick?
A lot of people in Jacksonville are mad at what the Patriots just took. They thought Mason Graham would be fantastic for their defensive line. But I really think when you have Liam Cohn, when he comes, he interviews with the team, it sounded like he probably had the job, except he flew back to Tampa and told them, nope, I'm staying where I am. He strong-armed it, so he probably wanted to get some more say in the organization's draft. So I think he got the GM fired. So that way, I think he gets to choose his weapon here. He's responsible for raising the floor for Trevor. And the Jaguars need a Luigi to Brian Thomas's Mario, someone who's going to be a little bit bigger, might not be as great as Mario, but he's good enough to help unlock the Princess Peach that is Trevor Lawrence's potential from Bowser's Castle. Christian Kirk was a fine Yoshi, but now the rest of their options are nothing but a bunch of toads running around. So this is why I think they go with Tedero McMillan from the Arizona Wildcats.
Arizona wide receiver. Don't say that very often in the NFL.
A bit of a shocker here.
Yeah, going number 5. I mean, we've seen him go in the 15s and the 20s, but Dave thinks he's going to the Jaguars all the way up at number 5. Love it. All right, now we're moving on to the Vegas Raiders. Everybody's got Genty mocked to them. Guys, I got to tell you, the Raiders are my pick here, and I'm not feeling it. I think that we're going to see something that we saw last year. Everybody, when Kirk Cousins signed with the Falcons, they said there's no way they're taking a quarterback. They took Penix. I love that move at the time. A lot of people hated it. But if you can get your franchise quarterback, you get him. It doesn't matter if you have a contract with another quarterback, especially if they're around the age of 35 or older. Geno signed a 3-year contract with the Raiders, but he's turning 35 soon. And after that second year, they can let him go. There's a bit of a cap hit, but the Raiders got plenty of cap. You go get your franchise guy if he's there. And a lot of people think it's Genty. I do not. I think it's Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders is not going to fall. I think he's going to the Oakland Raiders. He's going to be the face of that franchise, and Tom Brady is going to be dancing in the streets because the Raiders need that franchise quarterback, and they're going to take it number 6 overall with Shedeur Sanders. So let's see that PFF board. I'm going to go ahead and take Shedeur Sanders at number 6 to the Raiders.
It's really not that bad because you cut Geno Smith after this season. It's only going to be an $18 million hit. Any other position, that sounds terrible. But if you have a rookie quarterback out there, you're still probably paying 15, 20 million less for the position than all of these other elite top 15 quarterbacks.
Absolutely. The Raiders have the money. And if you look at that 2-year extension, it's really like a 1, because after that, even 18, let's say they keep him as a backup, there's no dead cap hit space after the second season. So they set up this contract to be able to get out of the contract after 2 years. Taking a quarterback here just makes too much sense. The Raiders need that face of the franchise. Now let's go on to another team that thought they signed the face of the franchise last offseason. That didn't work out so well. I bet in 12 years when we trade him Jordan Love, though, he's going to be better. So let's go to the New York Football Jets. Hype, who are they taking with the number 7 pick?
So we've had recent news that Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets had kind of like a clown interview, I should say exit interview with Aaron Rodgers. It sounds like they have not upgraded whatsoever in the brains department, but I'm going to give them a pass and say maybe they have. Maybe they're going to smarten up just a little bit. They really need to get Justin Fields comfortable back there, and they need to let him run around. So they need somebody that can just be a bruiser up front and dominate on the line of scrimmage, okay? Will Campbell from LSU is somebody that can do that. He plays with the big boys, and he can give Justin Fields 8, 10, 25 seconds back there to make a decision, which is probably about what he's going to need.
All right, let's see the PFF board. Let's see where we got Will Campbell going to the Jets. Now, there was some word out there that might take Genty. Right?
Yes,
he's there.
Genty might go there. And so there is a possibility of some crazy stuff happening, but dude, what's going to happen to Justin Fields? Every time he drops back, he's going to be dead.
Yeah. Will Campbell, offensive lineman of the future. Genty falling to number 8. Not a lot of people seeing this happen. Now we're moving on to the Carolina Panthers on the up at the end of last season. Chief Greengrass, what are they doing with the number 8 pick?
Their offense. Last year in the offseason, they signed 2 offensive linemen to really help their young quarterback. They drafted a wide receiver last year. Some people are saying that they should get another wide receiver to help, but they'd always be playing catch up. They had the worst defense last year. They had the worst rush defense last year. They run a 3-4 scheme. A lot of people are calling them to go outside linebacker / edge rusher. Jalen Walker has a flexibility out of Georgia, but ultimately I think that they want someone that gives them even better flexibility for a 3-4. If you have a linebacker in Jihad Campbell out of Alabama, he can be any of the 4 linebacker spots. He gives you such a dynamic defense. He can line up anywhere. He can chase down all of these mobile quarterbacks. He can cover tight ends. He can stuff the run. He just gives you a whole lot of dimension. So later on in the draft, you can pick up some defensive linemen, some other pieces, but he's just a master Swiss Army knife.
All right, let's go to the PFF board. I love this pick. Linebacker, maybe not as prevalent as it was years ago, especially if you're not a typical edge rusher. But Jihad Campbell led the SEC in net negative plays against the offense. I mean, if you can do that in the SEC, you can definitely play some ball. Very impressive young man, very talented. Like to see what he'd do there in Carolina. All right, now we've got the New Orleans Saints up. No more Shedeur Sanders. What's going on? Oh, a phone call just came in. What's going on? There's a phone call. Who's it from? Well, it's our good old friend, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones down in Texas. What's Jerry doing? Jerry's getting kind of crazy.
I just woke up from my nap and I had a dream that I traded up in the draft.
Jerry has that dream every night, by the way, folks, so that's not very rare. But let's see what's going on. The Cowboys are calling New Orleans Saints. They say they want to trade. Now, PFF's not giving me that, but I don't care. The Cowboys want to move up to get Genty. And you know what? New Orleans is thinking about taking him themselves. He's a generational guy, but the Cowboys are willing to give up some decent amount of stuff. So they're going to give 12. They're going to give 76. They're going to give next year's 3rd round pick as well. They're going to overpay a little bit here, but they're trading up in the top 10 to get a generational running back. Saints are going to pick up some extra picks here. And then the Saints are going to give away the number 9 overall and the 112 back to the Cowboys to make this happen. So again, a bit of an overpay for the Cowboys, but I think you have to. They're probably not the only team calling about Genty. And they're going to go ahead and draft the best running back in the draft, according to a lot of experts, Ashton Genty to the Cowboys. All of the good old boys down in Texas are going to love this. Genty to the Cowboys, which brings up the Chicago Bears. Dave here's a Bears fan. We are not letting him pick for the Bears. Doug Hype, what are the Chicago Bears going to do in the 2025 draft with the 10th pick?
We're going from old-timey Jerry Jones to Zombie Ditka.
I mean,
And
he was
Ditka.
always a zombie.
Is this a little bit of foreshadowing there, my friend?
Yes, sir. Zombie Ditka there. He's infected the NFL draft this year. And we think that he might have like regurgitated some Ditka. There might be like a pseudo Ditka, maybe a carbon copy Ditka out there on that's available. And his name is Ty Warren from Penn State. And, you know, he's going on draft boards around this area, maybe a little bit lower. But this is the thing. I don't think we've seen a tight end that the Bears don't like. They usually have 16 tight ends on their roster at all times.
Facts.
And what better way to get a tight end than at really high in the draft? Super great idea by the Bears. Genius idea. Also, they might remind him a bit of Ditka. He's a big bruising guy that can block. He can bully people around, and he's got amazing receiving skills. Ditka did break records in the NFL, and this guy could follow right in his footsteps for Zombie Ditka.
He's going to help the run game. He's going to help play action. He's going to do a lot of stuff for the young quarterback. I really just have two questions for you. One of them, on a scale of Ditka to Brock Bowers, where does Tyler Warren's season end?
It's a 17, the exact amount of players that will be on the roster as a tight end for the Chicago Bears by the end of the season.
I mean, they do have to take a tight end, Dave. The Packers didn't release any tight ends this year, so you don't have the option to pick up their tight ends. So
but we got Mercedes Lewis. Re-sign him again. He's only 3 years away from 50. We can get him to that run. He can be the new Gordy.
I heard that Jermichael Finley made a phone call to the Chicago Bears this year.
All right, let's see the PFF board. We've talked enough about the Bears. I'm starting to get sick.
There's no such thing as talking about the Bears.
All right, Tyler Warren to the Bears he's going to be 9th on the depth chart to start the season for the Bears, who like to get tight ends like it's going out of business. All right, moving on to a team that actually wins in the regular season, not the offseason. Well, not last year so much. The San Francisco 49ers lost a ton. Dave, what are they going to do to replenish that roster in the 2025 draft?
A lot of people are saying that they need to help with their offensive line, offense and defense, both. They're all-world left tackle. Trent Williams is getting up there in age. Eventually, they need to find the heir apparent, but I just don't think that this is the year. Right now, the hole in the middle of their defensive line is just too much. Their D-line, they have Bosa on there on the edge, and they really have nothing else. Walter Nolan has been up there. He's getting a lot of pressure. He's a big body. He's a strong man. He's going to help them stop with the run defense. I think he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Bosa. Those two on the one side of the line is just going to be causing nightmares for offensive lines throughout their division.
All right, let's check the PFF board. Walter Nolan shooting up draft boards in the last couple weeks. Started in the low 20s, sometimes high 20s, moved to the teens, all the way up to number 11 now for the San Francisco 49ers. Let's check out that PFF board for Walter Nolan. Going to
guys. The 49ers get another Pro Bowl, all-pro defensive lineman to chase down quarterbacks, so watch out.
Yeah, I think this guy's going to be a gamer. All right, so now we got the Saints back on the clock. That goes back to me. What are they going to do? Some people had him taking Shedeur. Some people had him taking Genty. Well, I can tell you what the Saints are going to do. They're going to pretend like they're going to make the playoffs, like they pretend every single year. And they're going to make a pick like they're still competitive. And you know what? Maybe this is the year. A lot of people think they need a quarterback in this draft. I think they've got some offensive line needs. Their right tackle, Ramczyk, has been out for a while, injury. And so basically, I think they're going to take best player available on the board here. There's a guy that a lot of people thought was going to go to the Niners. The Niners go defensive line, bit of a shocker. So I think the Saints are going to take Membu here. I think they could have taken him at 9. They got lucky that he fell to him again. And best offensive lineman on the board, I think no question the Saints need to move in that direction. They could take defense, but this is best player for them. So I'm going to go ahead and take Membu to the New Orleans Saints. Now we got the Miami Dolphins on the clock. Looks like they might want to trade all their players, but for now they're going to draft somebody. Hype, who are the Miami Dolphins going to take?
Look at that Dolphin, man. I think he spent a lot of time at the club. You know what I'm saying? Staying up till 5 a.m. in the morning. He looks a little bit like worn down. Tyreek Hill might be a little bit like worn down too with the Miami Dolphins. He might be tired of them. The Miami Dolphins have a reputation though they used to have a pretty good defense and pretty good cornerbacks. And there's a cornerback from Michigan that might be enticing to them because I believe their ownership has ties to Michigan, and remember when they tried to get Tom Brady down there, and he's a big Michigan fan, and there's a guy in this draft with immense talent that's been looked over because of injury and things. And I think the Miami Dolphins are just going to bet on that Tyreek Hill will stay with them, because where is he going to go to another city without a club? You know what I mean? Like, no, he's going to be in the club in Miami. He'll be fine. Will Johnson's going to come to the Miami Dolphins, help them solidify their defense. And I think he's a really valuable pick here, because if he falls down this draft board, he's going to get scooped up pretty quick.
All right, let's check the PFF board. Will Johnson, again, someone that a lot of people had top 10, had the injury last year, but big game player, big game plays, maybe not the speed of Jahade Barron, but overall skill set. A lot of people think he might be the best cornerback in this draft. Miami Dolphins taking the Michigan.
And Jalen Ramsey might be out of town, and he's kind of like a Jalen Ramsey. He can kind of do all the things. He can do man. He can body up somebody. He likes to tackle. Good cornerback.
Yeah, he's overall very, very good cornerback. All right, now let's move over to the Indianapolis Colts. Lost a lot of their offensive line, have a lot of things going on for them. Chief Greengrass, what are the Colts going to do with the 2025 draft pick here?
Like you said, they lost their center and their guard to the Vikings in the offseason. A lot of people have them looking at tight end to help their young quarterback or Daniel Jones. Realistically, I think Daniel Jones is going to win in the preseason, get the role. Tight end just doesn't make sense. They have Michael Pittman there. They have Antonio Pierce. They have Downs. They have perfectly good weapons. Going tight end isn't really going to help their offense as much. I already have Jonathan Taylor coming out of the back. Their defensive line is solid. I think what they need is a versatile safety. Back in the day, in Peyton Manning's heyday, they had a strong safety in Bob Sanders, who was a big hitter, someone that the rest of the defense could rely on. I think they want to go Malachi Stark, 6'1", 197. He can play free safety, strong safety. He can be a slot corner. He has long arms for pass breakups. He's just really impressive, and he'll help out that defense a whole lot. So that way the quarterback doesn't have to score nearly as many points.
He's a sneaky guy, Dave, Chief Greengrass, that's sneaking up this draft board. He was originally, I think, a late round 2, round 3 guy, and I see every mock draft he keeps sneaking up. People are like, oh, I forgot about the safety from Penn State.
I mean, the Penn State safety's been moving up, but Malachi Starks has been a top 10 guy for a long time. It's just, do you value safety? I mean, he is the leader of the Georgia defense, which says a lot. He's been there for a while. I mean, the guy can definitely play football. It's just, how important is the safety position? Do you take a safety in the top 10? You think of classic safeties like Ed Reed, right around that range. But
he's only number 14 though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think this is good value, Dave, for the Colts. I think if you can get a generational safety, which he seems like he could be at 14, that's a good deal for the Colts, right? So I love it. I like this guy. I kind of wanted him to follow the Packers. I'm not going to lie, even though we don't need a safety at this time. The guy just knows how to play football. When you lead the Georgia defense for years, you're a good football player.
You started as a true freshman on a national championship caliber.
Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. All right, now we're moving just up the road, down the road from Athens, Georgia, to Atlanta, Georgia, where the Falcons are running. They are running with speed to bring their card up to the podium, because they're going to take a player that they desperately need. The Falcons don't have problems with taking smaller outside guys. Now, they don't necessarily play a traditional 3-4 or 4-3, but there's a edge rusher on the board that has, on tape and just in overall pass rush win rate, has an unbelievable record. Played at Boston College. Again, bit of a smaller guy, might be more of a 3-4 guy, but as an edge rusher, the Falcons desperately need help. I thought about Barron here. He's on the board, but, edge rusher is the number one need here for the Falcons. So I'm going to go ahead and take Donovan Ezaraku out of Boston College. Unbelievable player. Pass rush win rate of 18.2. I mean, he's great against the run, too. 83.6 is not bad. 26 hurries, 20 hits, 14 sacks. I mean, the guy puts up numbers. And the Falcons need a warm body out there that could put up those kind of numbers. I think they'll be really excited if Ezraku is on the board when they pick. All right. Now, it looks like, hold on, folks. Wait a minute. There's another phone call coming in. The Cardinals just got a phone call. What's going on?
Hey, I was just on the golf course. I'm the guy from the Cardinals. All I do is play golf. I don't really pay attention to football, but I feel like I should trade up in this draft.
Well, I think
Maybe
the
trade down?
Buccaneers want to trade with you. I think the Buccaneers are
This
looking
is my
to move
first
up.
day in football. I'm not really sure how to do this. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers want to trade with me? Okay, let's trade.
All right.
Let's trade.
The Buccaneers want to get ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals here. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers see Jahadae Barron on the board. They're going to go ahead and give up 19 and 84 for the Cardinals, 16 and 152 here. So the Cardinals needed something around here. Any players they can get. They're only moving down 3 picks. Tampa Bay desperately needs help on the defensive side. There's some good players out there, but best cornerback available, Jahadae Barron, going to Tampa Bay right here at number 16. Let's go ahead and put him on the team. You guys excited about that? You think that's a good move by Tampa Bay?
Oh, God, yes. Their secondary has been their one. They have a strong run defense with their line. Linebackers need some help, but that secondary has just been decimated.
Yeah. They lost Sean Murphy-Bunting. He actually went to the Cardinals, surprisingly. They traded with them. But, yeah, best cornerback on the board makes a ton of sense to me, which brings us to the Cincinnati Bengals. What are they going to do in the 2025 draft?
They're going to try to appease their large defensive end superstar by getting him an opposite bookend. They like the looks of Shamar Stewart. He has a lot of talent. He has a lot of tools. He's 6'6", 290. He only had 1.5 sacks for the last 3 years. Everyone talks about it, but if he has the tools there, if you have a coach in the NFL, you should be able to coach up the guys, refine their skills. It'll help to take some of that pressure off of Trey Hendrickson. It'll help their secondary if he can get some rush. He's outstanding against the run already. Just got to get him some of the tools, get him a rip or something, so that way he can increase his pass rush win rate from 12%. A little bit of work might be able to get to 15, and that's all you need with Hendrickson on that other side.
Yeah, Stewart, what a combine, right? Absolute physical monster. Not a lot of production, but a lot of people say it's because of the system they ran at Texas A&M. He wasn't supposed to get at the quarterback. I mean, this seems like a guy the Packers want to take because he had no production and he's basically Hercules. But we got one of those in Van Ness. So I'm glad he's going to the Bengals. Thanks for taking him, Cincinnati. All right, moving on to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks are in a position here where they need a lot of offensive line, but they don't necessarily need tackle. There's tackles on the board. They definitely need edge rusher. They maybe could use another linebacker. But the one thing about the Seahawks this year is they've got a bunch of picks. They've got 18, 50, 52, 82, 92, 137. I mean, that's 6 picks in the top 150. And they say about 150 is where the talent level is in this draft, maybe a little more. I mean, that's 6 players that they can add. So I think Seattle here sees best player on the board, sees best pass rusher on the board. Mike Green, kind of sounds like a Seahawk to me. I think they're going to run up there and they're going to say, yes, give us this edge rusher from Marshall. I don't think they have an issue with his off the field stuff. The guy puts up numbers. I think he's going to fit right in on that defense. Remember now they got Baltimore's defensive coordinator is now their head coach. This seems just kind of like a guy they would like, Mike Green. Oh, and shout out to the Seattle GM from Des Prairie, Wisconsin. Way to go, buddy. Way to make something out of yourself and become a GM in the NFL. All right, Mike Green, 2. The Seattle Seahawks. Now we're back to the Cardinals, who traded back to 19 here. What are we going to do at 19 with the Arizona Cardinals?
Oh, let's look at this. We're going to shake it up, these Cardinals. That's what we're going to do. All right. Everybody thinks the Cardinals are going to get, maybe an offensive lineman, maybe a D tackle, maybe some help on defense. But this is my vision. If I am the GM and coach of the Cardinals and I've got an amazing young wide receiver, a dynamic quarterback, a really top shelf tight end for production, and a running back, that offense needs one thing left to make it next level, to be up there with like the 49ers, the Packers, whatever you want to call it. They need to have a guy that can take the ball on a slant or on a screen pass and just go the distance for a touchdown and just run people out of the stadium because their defense isn't that good. So they're going to go with the one and only playmaker of this draft. This guy is a playmaker. That's all he can do is make plays. Is Luther Burden the third? That you put the ball in his hands and he just takes it to the house. And we've seen in the past where teams have these guys that are like a running back type guy in a wide receiver body that just finds a way to always get big plays. And I think that's what the Cardinals need right now, to take the pressure off of their young quarterback who likes to play Call of Duty all day.
He does indeed. Well, he's going to have a lot of different weapons in his arsenal now. They took, maybe a little bit underperforming, but Harrison Jr., we know he's going to be able to play. Luther Burden here, a guy that, again, super huge talent, dropped a little bit in the draft. I think a lot of people forgot, that the production from the quarterback in Missouri was a lot different this year than it was.
If you look at his, like, the season 2 seasons ago, the guy was maybe going to be the number 1 receiver in the entire draft.
Absolutely.
And this is a thing that people don't think about, is that the Cardinals are not good. So they need somebody who can to make huge plays for them.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, Luther Burden going to the Cardinals. Shock of people, but you know what? The Cardinals traded back. They got extra picks. They still got their playmaker. I like that move. Too bad we're being interrupted by Ian Rappaport at this time. But he's basically saying that Robert Saleh is no longer on the Jets. I feel like that's an old-timey thing. Hype, how did that jump in there?
Well, see, the thing is that Jake Kummerow somehow always is a part of every conversation when we're talking about wide receivers. Like, I think that Luther Burden could be the next Jake Kummerow for the Cardinals.
And let's all not forget, a Packers quarterback got Robert
Saleh. Do you remember what Jake Kummerow did to that team? Okay.
All right, let's move on to the Mile High City, the Denver Broncos. Chief Greengrass on this holiday. By the way, Chief Greengrass, great name. Broke out my old Morgan Burnett 42 for the holiday today. What are we doing in the great city of Denver in the 2024 draft?
Oh, here, Sean Payton, he's absolutely ecstatic. The team has finally got some tools. He finally has his quarterback. Now it's time for him to go out and get his joker. He has 2 options right here. He can go out and he can Colston Loveland. He used tight ends as a joker before. He had Jeremy Shockey and the Giants. Loveland is a little too pretty. He doesn't play the gritty smash mouth face. He's more of the Jimmy Graham type. That'd be a fantastic option. But Denver's been throwing a lot of stuff at the wall to try to get the running back. I know this is a strong class, but right now, if you have 1A and 1B in this rich draft class, you go after Mario Hampton. You go get that beast. He's big. He's fast. You can't tackle him through the legs. He'll drive it right through your shoulder. Kind of reminds me a little bit of AP for his upright style. He doesn't quite have the cutting, but he is just a beast. 1,500 yards with Drake May as his quarterback. Loses Drake May, still gets 1,500 yards. The
Absolutely.
man is just a beast. He's going to have a lot of fun in the Mile High City.
Underrated hands too. Let's remember in this kind of offense, especially with Bo Nix, right, and Sean Payton, you need your running back to catch the ball. This guy can catch the ball. Like, he's a big bruiser, but he's got good hands. He's got good instinct. He's a great football player.
He kind of reminds me of a famous Bronco, Terrell Davis. So that guy that was big, but he could hit the hole quickly. He could get to where he needed to go quickly. And if you weren't squared up on him, he was just gonna run you over.
I heard he was pretty good. Somebody told me once.
How did he do in the Super Bowl?
That there was a Super Bowl where the Broncos beat somebody, but I actually
I forget what was that. What was that team? I remember having a lot of fun.
I remember after the Packers
Super Bowl
beat the New England Patriots in that Super Bowl, then there was
I only remember
that came in, and there was some sort of weird dimension thing that happened where everybody thinks the Broncos won a Super Bowl, but that actually never happened.
I have no idea.
I don't know what you're talking about. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and take Omarion Hampton. I think that's a great pick for the Broncos. A lot of people have him going here. I think he might go a little higher. Maybe the Broncos might trade up. Who knows? But I think that's a great pick for them. All right, now we're moving on to the Steelers. Now, there's another team that wants another former Packer quarterback. They just can't help themselves. But I'll tell you what, guys, there's talk that they might take Jackson Dart. There's talk that, wait, what? Whoa, phone call. There's a phone call coming in. Somebody's calling. Hello, who's this?
I think I need a trade.
All right. Oh, you must be the Rams. It sounds like
this is the Rams. We're in Los Angeles. I'm at WrestleMania right now, so I can't really hear you, but I want to just do a trade.
All right. Well, sounds like a Kroenke if I ever heard one. Straight and to the point. And getting all their technology on tariffs. So let's go ahead and
I borrowed
trade
Jerry Jones'
up.
phone to call you, actually, by the way.
Oh, fair
From the
enough. I
90s,
heard they're
yeah.
friends. All right. So the Los Angeles Rams are going to trade up here. So let's go to the PFF board real quick so we can see what the Rams are going to offer the Steelers. So they're going to take 26. They're going to take pick number 101 and 190 because the Steelers, not a ton of picks here. I think their new GM a little bit more aggressive than they were in the past. So a lot of people think they might go here and take a quarterback. They might take a running back. They might take a wide receiver. They might take an edge rusher. But I think trading back helps the Steelers, gets them another pick, 2 more picks, and the Rams trade up for a very specific player. So we're going to go ahead and force that trade. And the Los Angeles Rams are now on the clock. Rams, why did you trade up? Who are you taking here?
Well, we wanted to beat that nice man down there in also in Los Angeles, the Chargers head coach. We didn't want him to get his former player. We're in win now mode. We have a superstar quarterback, but he's a little bit old. We got him an old wide receiver. Devontae Adams is going to be fantastic. We have another good Puka Nacua who's very good. He might get hurt sometimes. So for those games where he's hurt, we wanted to get another option. We wanted to get Colston Loveland. He'll be a fantastic third option half the season, and he'll be a fantastic second option for the other half of the season. So right now we want to win the Super Bowl. We're toe-to-toe with the Eagles. We think that this might help to push us over the top, overcome that secondary that they have. He'll help with the quick passes right off of the line to negate some of that pass rush that the Eagles have. And we think that he could be the one to get us that championship.
Man, Steele and Loveland from the Chargers. I love every second.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
personally, I'm never happy when anything good happens to people in Michigan.
We're terrible roommates.
Yeah, I can imagine so. So, yeah, stealing them from the Chargers. Wow, that's pretty great. Who knows if the Chargers were going to take them, but I love that move by the Rams. Hey, own that city, baby. Own that city. All right. So now we're moving on to the San Diego Chargers. Who are the Chargers going to take in the 2025 draft, guys?
I believe that is my pick.
The San Diego Chargers.
Oh, did I say San Diego? I'm sorry.
The San Diego, Los Angeles, California Chargers.
I'm sorry. The Los Angeles Chargers. My mistake, everybody. I apologize to the city of San Diego.
The Chargers really did want to take a Michigan tight end to fulfill their prophecy of having another touchdown machine at tight end. I feel like that's going to be could have been a thing. But they got a new coach named Jim Harbaugh, and their defense was pretty good last year. But the thing is that a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to go offense because, their defense was good. But there's a problem is that Jim Harbaugh is there, and so is Kenneth Grant, who is a mountain of a man. And if you want to impose yourself and actually really have a dominant defense that can win in the playoffs, you need somebody like Grant on your team that can stand up to the offensive linemen of like the Eagles and the other teams that with a good offensive lineman, like the Lions, if you meet them in the Super Bowl. I don't know if the AFC has any good offensive linemen, but I'm sure they do. And I think that Charles Grant's somebody that drops in a lot of these drafts. People overlook him a lot, but a lot of analysis say that there's not a big drop-off between him and Mason Graham, that they're basically 1A and 1B. So I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to be really, really into this guy.
All right. I mean, Michigan back to back. He's like, oh, you're going to take one Michigan guy? I'll just take the other one. I'm fine. There's so many of them.
I've built an amazing team. I'm a great coach.
You ever go to Michigan?
Wow, they're actually pretty good over there.
Did he ask you what you bench when you go to the draft process?
What do you bench? What's most important?
What do you bench? You ever go to Michigan? Okay, that's a WWE.
All right, let's go to the PFF board. Let's get Kenneth Grant over on the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to go ahead and take him. Oh, you went to the next one instead of the PFF board, but that's okay.
We're going around in circles here. But
you're too excited. You're too excited because up next is the best franchise of all time, most titles of all time. Yes, I mean championships of all time, not just Super Bowl titles. The Green Bay Packers. Packers
you can't really get much cheesier than that, man. Look at that.
All right. Look, guys, because of the format, let me apologize, first of all. Okay, Chief Greengrass is going to be making the pick for the Packers. But if you guys can actually believe this, it is true. Greengrass is actually a somewhat logical Bear fan, right? Which is like being the smartest kindergartner. But it's still something to be proud of. So Chief Greengrass is going to make this pick for the Packers. Us two Packer fans are going to step aside. What are they going to do in the 2025 draft?
Right now, I love hearing that Green Bay has Van Ness, how they're not going to trade for Hendrickson because I think Van Ness is that talent that they need that they can develop. But I think if they were to get Derek Harmon, that would make me very upset because he can help you on the inside. He can help you on the outside. He's powerful. He's disruptive. He's quick. He can play anywhere on that defensive line that you want. I think he'd help the pass and the run game. He's the person that I want Green Bay to get the absolute least at this point in the draft. I'd much prefer them get something like a left tackle, but as a Bears fan, yeah, Derek Harmon would be amazing for Green Bay.
All right, let's check out the PFF board. And I got to say, I love that pick. There's been a lot of drafts where Harmon's up, he's down, he goes 15.
He
goes
was the
35.
golden boy of the draft for a while, and then
For a
they
little
kinda
bit,
forgot
he
about him.
was. And honestly, Harmon, if you look at some of his game tape, it looks like some games he's not there. It looks like some games he dominates. I mean, look what he did to Ohio State twice. He absolutely threw them around.
I've
right?
heard, though, in the tape analysis, he almost never loses a rep. He
Yeah.
either ties or wins, and he ties a lot, but he
Yeah.
almost never loses.
No,
But just look at that pass rush win rate. 17% as an interior
It
defensive
shows in
man.
the stats that the guy really doesn't lose very often.
Unbelievable. I agree with you too, Chief, that I don't see the Packers taking another edge rusher in the first round. We just took Van Ness. We got to figure out if we're going to do the 5th year. We're already paying Gary. We might take another guy later, but getting interior pass rush, Kenny Clark's contract is probably not going to be there very much longer. We got to figure out if we're going to re-sign Devontae Wyatt. I love this pick.
I'm surprised he's still there because there's a feature that people forget about.
Yeah.
He played on every position on that D line for Oregon, and he could play and rotate between inside and outside on that D line for the Packers, which might be really amazing for them.
And I know a lot of Vikings fans that want to take him at 24. Even though they signed a bunch of guys in the offseason, they love the way this guy plays. They want Derek Harmon. So if we could get him above right in front of the Vikings, I'd be really happy about that. Speaking of the Vikings, they're on the clock right now.
Ooh.
They didn't trade ahead of the Packers. They don't have a lot of draft picks in the draft this year. They got next to nothing, which is why, phone call. Somebody's calling the Vikings. Who is it? Who's calling today?
Hello. This is Andy Reid. I'm out of cheeseburgers, and I just realized when I reached down to call Uber Eats that I also want to trade in this draft.
Nice.
So could I please trade with you, Minnesota Vikings?
We got lots of cheeseburgers. We got nuggets. I mean, we got all your favorite things over here.
Yeah, just throw some that my way, and you can just have whatever draft picks you want. So.
Yeah, love you, Andy Reid, forever.
He's an amazing coach.
Unbelievable. Former Packer coach, by the way. Love you, Andy Reid. Okay, so Kansas City. Let's go check out the PFF board, see what Kansas City's doing. They're jumping ahead of the Texans, folks. They want to get that tackle. There's a couple tackles left on the board, to be honest. They could just stay put, but they want to jump up with the Texans because they think the Texans are going to take best available, and they want to get that guy. So they're going to trade 31 and 66 for 24. And I got to say, if I'm a Vikings fan, I hate this, or I love this. I hate this as a Packer fan because the Vikings are still going to get a first. They're going to get another second out of this. They didn't have one in the draft. That's big for them. I hate this pick as a Packer fan. I think it's great for the Vikings, though. So the Chiefs are going to trade up. All right, Kansas City, you traded up. Who are you taking at the number 24 overall pick, Kansas City?
Well, let me get you the graphic right now of the Kansas City Chiefs because it looks so cool.
It does indeed.
I know Chief Greengrass is going to be a big fan of this. Look at this. Look at that guy.
He's got beautiful.
arrowheads. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, AI, by making that incredibly cool.
We hired an artist. His name is AI. He's not
Indeed.
artificial intelligence. He's just that's his name.
No, yeah, his name's AI. Yeah,
His name is just AI.
Yeah.
His name is Arthur Institute. So this is a really good question. Who are they going to take here? They're literally trading out because they just got decimated by the Eagles, and they need to protect their quarterback. They need to get him back on track. So they're going to go with a guy from Ohio State, Josh Simmons, who sometimes is like higher up on the board. And he's by far and away the best option that they have right now at left tackle. They did consider the tackle from Oregon a little bit, but they're going to go with Josh Simmons from Ohio State.
Yeah, great player. You know, a lot of people forget how good he was. Josh Simmons got hurt last year, in the Oregon game. But
look at those green bars.
Yeah, I mean, 1 sack, 4 hits, 4 sacks, 3 hits, those 2 years, a lot of pass snaps, playing in the Big Ten. unbelievably good offensive tackle. You know, the injury worried a little bit of people, but I think Kansas City needs that franchise left tackle. If they can get him at 24, I think Simmons could be it. I think they would absolutely love this. And they get in front of the Titans or the Texans, which is a big deal because a lot of people think the Texans are going to go left tackle here. Let's see what they do. Texans, what are you taking at 25 overall?
Let me get over to the Texans. Oh, my goodness. Look at this. Look at that guy. Look at those horns he's got on that Brahma Bull for Texas.
That looks like CJ Stroud after every game because his ass got beat so bad.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's like weathered. He's a little bit weathered.
Yeah, they might need a left tackle, a right tackle, a left guard, a center.
But this is the thing that the Texans are like, why did you trade all the way up in front of us when we all along wanted Kelvin Banks anyways? So like we don't even care about your trades. We're gonna get an offensive lineman that can also block for our nice running back that we have, that can pass block and run block from Texas, Kelvin Banks. And, that's somebody that the Packers might have considered also drafting to protect Jordan Love. But I think that the Texans can get back on track this year. If they can really protect their quarterback, they can shock some people and make a run in the playoffs.
All right. Let's check out the PFF board. We got Kelvin Banks ranked 20th overall. Yeah, I think if he falls right here, the Texans won't even be mad that the Chiefs traded up to take Simmons in front of them. I think they'll happily take Banks. Texans love Texans. They're taking a Texas guy, so I think they're going to absolutely.
I mean, it was cool for the Chiefs to trade because these guys would probably be gone by the time they did pick.
Well, and there's a good chance somebody else might have traded up in front of the Texans for the very same reason to grab that tackle. So the Chiefs had to jump on it to make sure they got one of those two guys, right? So I actually like that for both of them. All right, now we're back to Pittsburgh on the clock. What do you guys think? Jackson Dart? No way. And it's not because they're signing Aaron Rodgers, okay? The Steelers are not the type of team to take Jackson Dart. I just don't see it. He's a developmental guy that, was a 4th-round pick two months ago, and now all of a sudden has moved up to maybe a top 10 guy. Yeah, do you remember guys like that, like Zach Wilson? How'd that go? There's a reason the Steelers win. They don't make decisions like that. They're not taking a quarterback here, folks.
But this is Lane Kiffin. This is a Lane Kiffin system. He produces NFL talent. Just ask the Carolina Panthers when they drafted Matt Corral, 94th overall out of Ole Miss quarterback. Jonathan Mingo the following year, 39th overall, Ole Miss offense, Lane Kiffin. They're both all-stars, right?
Oh, who are we talking about? No, they're not. So, no, I'm not trusting that Ole Miss offense either. I hope Jackson Dart has a great career, but the Steelers are going to pass. Instead, they're going to go for talent, and they're going to go for a guy that's shooting up draft boards, extremely athletic, is going to have somebody else in that secondary to teach him so he can just go and make plays. I mean, the Steelers defense is best when they have safeties making plays, right? Ryan Clark, Polamalu, right? And they've got a guy on the board here that's extremely athletic, that can blitz, that can cover. He needs a little bit of work, let's be honest, but this guy could be an amazing talent. I thought about them taking Kevin Winston here. He got injured, excellent player, but I think Amanawari is just too good for the Steelers to pass up. They already got their extra draft picks. They're going to take a guy that can just make things happen on the back end, make plays happen. They're going to go ahead and take Nick Amanawari. All right, now moving on to their rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. So close every year. What are they going to do? When are they going to beat Patrick Mahomes? They're so close. Lamar Jackson, MVPs. The defense started off a little rough, looked a little better. I got to tell you guys, when I went through this draft process and I was looking at teams and needs and looking at players, there was a player that just stood out to me. Sometimes you just hear their name or you see them on tape and you're just like, that person belongs on this team. And for me, it was James Pierce Jr. to the Baltimore Ravens. He's a big guy, not traditionally an outside linebacker in a 3-4, more of a 4-3 guy, but the Ravens have had a lot of success with those guys in the past. Both of their edge rushers are on the last year of their contract. I think the Ravens are going to be ecstatic that James Pierce Jr. fell down to them, and he is going to be a beast on that defense. So let's check out the PFF board. Let's go ahead and take James Pierce Jr. to the Baltimore Ravens. I think a lot of Ravens fans would love this. They are so close to beating the Chiefs. If they can get that really dominant pass rusher, I mean, we saw what the Eagles could do. I think the Ravens are maybe that one guy away from taking that next step. They'll be ecstatic to get James Pierce. All right, on to another team in the NFC North that none of us like, the Detroit Lions. Now, very good at drafting the last couple of years, using a lot of bravado, not caring what the draft board says, not caring what people think, so just taking who they like. Got to respect that. What are they going to do in 2025 with the 28th pick?
Well, they're going to do what a lot of people thought the Packers would do. A lot of people over the course of the whole offseason had the Packers taking Mikael Williams, edge rusher. The Detroit Tigers, Lions, and Bears need they need help on defense, and they
We're
need
in your
somebody.
head. We're always in your head, man.
The Tigers need help on defense too, to be fair.
They also do need help on defense. They need help on that edge. And like, what happens if Hutchinson gets hurt again? I don't know. Is he injury prone or whatever? But they need a pass rush. Their defense was lacking in the playoffs. They got smacked around in the playoffs. They got brought out to the shed and beaten in the playoffs. And this is a guy who, like, he grades out really well when you watch him work the run and the pass. He can be in a 4-3. He's a strong guy. He does a lot of interesting stuff. He's slippery, I think, Derek, you said earlier. He can get around and move around people. He's kind of that tweener guy who's between being a strong defensive end and a quick guy that has some moves. And it's really intriguing. I think that he's going to be a really productive player in the NFL. He might not be all pro, but he's definitely going to be a guy that gives you like 10 plus sacks a year, I think.
Yeah, a guy that could be anywhere. People have him drafted at 11, drafted at 45, drafted in the 20s. But I think the Detroit Lions definitely need to get Hutchinson some help on the defensive line. They did their best last year. I thought Aaron Glenn did an excellent job with what he had, hence him getting a coaching job this year. But I like that pick, which is why I hate that pick, because I think that's a good player for them. So let's go to the PFF board and get Mikael Williams over to the Detroit Lions. There we go. All right, moving on to a team that surprised everybody last year. The Washington Commanders getting to the NFC Championship game and losing, which is the Packers' job, by the way. But congratulations anyway. What are the Washington Commanders going to do this year? Other than, wait a minute, get a phone call. What's happening? Hello.
We're just gonna stack up draft picks and then dominate the entire NFL with our new shiny quarterback. And we're going to have good players at every position. So can we please trade?
Who's trading up? Chief Greengrass, who's calling?
Oh, the Cleveland Brown Pants.
Oh, the Browns.
They wanted to make a move. They wanted to make sure that they got ahead of the New York Giants for hopefully their quarterback of the future.
All right. You don't have to go all the way back to the
We're going back into the future past of the Browns.
We're going back into the past. The Browns already picked. They're in the first round again.
I was like, where's the draft card for that team?
Oh, yeah, nothing to worry about. But the Commanders, it makes sense for them to trade down because they only have 2 picks. They have the 29th, the 61st, and then they don't pick again until the end of the 4th round, and then in the 6th round. So for them, it was a great year, but they have more holes they need to fill. It's a great, there's enough depth here in the top 100. You need more than 2 picks in the top 100 to make that step.
Going back a couple spaces, get another pick, plus the Browns get that 5th-year option if Jackson Dart ends up being good. So they're going to go ahead and give them the 33, the 94, and Washington's going to give up the 29 to get out of the first round so that Cleveland can draft again. All right. So Cleveland, what are they going to do? What are they going to do, Chief Greengrass?
Well, they don't trust Kenny Pickett. They don't trust Joe Flacco. As much fun as Flacco can be for your dynasty team, he did get him in the playoffs a couple of years ago, but he's 2 years older. So yeah, I think they're going to take a dart at this and go for Jackson Dart.
Nice pun. All right, Jackson Dart going to the Browns, trading up into the first round. Very Lamar Jackson-esque. Let's see what Jackson Dart does in Cleveland. I wish you well, buddy. Oh, boy. All right, moving on to Bills Mafia, number 30. Again, so close to beating the Chiefs. Again, not beating the Chiefs. What do they need in this draft? What are they going to do? Well, they had a lot of injuries on defense last year. They got a lot of good players. They need cornerbacks. They need defensive tackle. They probably need a safety. They probably need a wide receiver. There's a guy on the board that can play a bunch of different positions. He can fill in linebacker. He can rush off the edge. He's just another talent. and he comes out of a little school called Georgia, which we all know at the end of the first round, you just take a Georgia defender because it's going to work out for you. So let's go back to the PFF draft board. The Buffalo Bills are going to take Jalen Walker, who I almost can't believe is still here. He's a guy that's going at 10, 15, sometimes 17, 18, 20, but he's still here at 30. The Bills Mafia is dancing in the streets. Jalen Walker going to the Buffalo Bills. Fell down the draft, but a very versatile player that is going to help them in a lot of different ways. All right, now we're on to the Purple guys up in Minnesota. Again, after they traded down, this is my pick as well. What did they trade down for? Well, they needed more picks. Are they going to trade again? No, because they're going to get a guy on the draft board that they wanted. They're going to need help in the secondary. They could probably take a safety here. They could probably take another edge rusher, potentially, maybe an offensive lineman. But I think there's a guy on the board here well for the Minnesota Vikings, and I freaking would be really mad if they took him, which is probably why they should, which is why I'm going to go ahead and draft Maxwell Harrison to the Minnesota. I know I wanted the Packers to trade up in the second round and try to steal him from somebody, but maybe Trey Amos, but Maxwell just fits well with what they play on defense. He's tall, absolutely athletic. I really want him on the Packers, and I think that he's going to end up in Minnesota.
I feel like he's definitely coming up into the first round this year.
I mean, I think Malachi Starks and Menawari is kind of what Vikings fans are looking for, right? Maybe, maybe Omar Norman-Lott, something like that. But I think if they get to 31 to get those extra picks and they can get this cornerback, Maxwell Harrison, I think they're going to be real happy with that. Plus, let's face it, they needed picks. I think this is a good move for the Vikings, which is why I hate it. All right, moving on to the final pick of the 2025 first round, the Super Bowl champions and the nicest fans on the planet, right? Everybody agrees. The nicest fans, just so sweet and cuddly. The Philadelphia Eagles, what are they doing in the 2025 draft?
Well, they're going to do what they always do. Let's have a look at that draft board. Let's see what's on the line, offense and defensive.
All right, you want to look at the line for the Eagles. You want to look at offensive interior. You want to look at offensive tackles. You want to look at defensive interior and potentially defensive ends. What are we working with here?
So Omar Norman-Lott, he's gone up a lot of draft boards. He's an explosive player. He's going to be really exciting. But at Tennessee, that's one of those systems where they rotate him in and out. You don't really know how long he's going to be able to play. But at the same time, that does fit what the Eagles do because they just have so much depth. They're 2 or 3 deep at every position. But they're also really good at drafting 2 years ahead of where they need to. They have Lane Johnson, who's one of the top 5 right tackles in the league. If he's not top 3, he's going to be 35 before the next season starts. That means that in 2 years, he'll be 37. He might start to fall off. So why not get a man in Gray Zabel who just knocked everybody's socks off at the draft combine? He's one of the few guys he started at all 5 positions, and he excelled at all 5 positions. He went against the best defensive ends out there in college football. He more than held his own. And I just think he'd be a fantastic. You give him 2 years to get a little bit bigger, stronger, so he can play tackle. Otherwise, if he gives you that versatility on inside, if anyone gets hurt, normally you want to swing tackle. This guy's a swing everything. Yeah. So he's going to be knocking it out of the ballpark for those stupid Eagles.
I mean, when you got Saquon back there and Hurts that can run, if you have a dominant offensive line, it's going to do you a lot of good. And yeah, I think Gray Zabel to the Eagles is an excellent pick for them, which is also why I hate it. All right. So great job, guys. We did it. We did all 32 teams. We did trades. We talked about what they needed. There's all kinds of fun stuff here. A few maybe we're crazy, maybe we're not. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking Shedeur is going to the Raiders. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that Jerry's going to draft up. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we're crazy thinking the Bears are going to take Dick, 2.0, or as I like to call him, future Rashaan Salam.
The only thing we forgot to do is we forgot to look to see, is there any stock footage of him with the mustache?
I'm sure there's.
If he has never worn the mustache, he may have screwed up the entire franchise.
He's probably trimming his mustache right now, Dave. I think it's happening. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this full draft here. I mean, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, that's pretty much what everybody thinks, right? Then we got Mason Graham, McMillan, Shedeur Sanders, Will Campbell, Jahad Campbell's back-to-back, Genty, Warren to the Bears, Nolan to San Francisco, Membu to the Saints after they traded down. Will Johnson going down to live in the sun of Miami. I'm sure he'd love that. Malachi Starks going to the Colts. Ezaraku to the Falcons. Jahdae Barron after the Buccaneers trade up. Shamar Stewart, thank you, Bengals, for not letting the Packers draft him, taking him at 17. Mike Green going to the Seahawks. Feels like a Seahawk. Luther Burden, another surprise. Cardinals trade back, take the weapon Luther Burden. Denver Broncos take Amari and Hampton. Colston Loveland sneaking up above Harbaugh. But Harbaugh doesn't care because he's taking a Michigan guy anyway, and Kenneth Grant. Derek Harmon to the Packers. Josh Simmons after the trade up by the Chiefs. The Texans are like, that's fine. We're taking a guy from Texas anyway. Kelvin Banks, Amenawari to the Steelers. James Pierce Jr., future Raven. Mikael Williams to the Lions. Jackson Dart to the Browns after they trade in. Commanders getting some more picks going back in the second round. Jalen Walker to the Bills. Bills Mafia super happy. Maxwell Harrison to the Minnesota Vikings. And Gray Zabel, the do-it-all offensive lineman, to the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles. So, boys, how do we do? How was our first mock draft of the year?
I think the key to remember here is that almost every mock draft that you ever see is always wrong. There's going to be surprises. There's going to be shocks. There's going to be trades. And GMs don't even always know what they're going to do. There's so many players in this draft in the top, first round and first part of the first round that are all so equally good, just depending on what position you want to go for. I think that this draft kind of intrigues me because I think we're going to see a lot of this stuff happen. Like we'll see teams that like match with players that they identify with, like James Pierce with the Ravens, right?
Right.
Or Shador Sanders and the Raiders there, or like that character matchup, something that just fits them and their identity, I think is going to happen a lot in this draft.
Yeah. I like where we ended up, guys. I do. I really think that Shador is not going to make it out of the top 10. I know there's a lot of people saying he's going to drop. I think he's just too big of a talent and too big of a name. Now, what is his career?
Well, he's too big of a name. I don't know that he's too big of a talent.
Well, I'm a big believer that a quarterback, there's certain quarterbacks that are generational, and pretty much the other 90% that are successful, it depends on where they play football, who their coach is, and what the franchise is all about, right? Which is why the Packers are continually successful. But I think the Raiders now, they don't really have that track record, but maybe Brady being there, they could maybe turn it around. So I think the Raiders would be good for him. I definitely think it'd be better than going to the Saints. Just my 2 cents. So,
but I also think it helps a lot when you have the best wide receiver in college football.
That definitely does help a lot.
Jordan Addison got Kenny Pickett drafted in the first round by the
Joe Horn
Steelers
too, who's not
years
no
ago.
slouch.
Yeah, Joe Horn at Colorado, kind of overlooked. I'd like to see the Packers pick him up late, kind of a smaller guy. But no, Shador definitely had a lot of talent around him. I don't know if he's going to be an end-all world beater, but at the same time, if he can be a face of the franchise and the franchise can build around him correctly, you got Brock Bowers there already, right? You can get a running back in the second round.
He might even go sooner. He might go to the Giants. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. I kind of for a while thought he was going to drop, but after I saw that a lot of people said he's going to drop, I just think the Raiders, I don't think they're going to take a running back over a quarterback. That's just my personal feeling, and I don't think that the signing of Geno Smith changes that whatsoever. But that's me. I got to say, I like a lot of our draft picks. I'm really happy with what we did. I can't wait to do this again, guys. I think after maybe the draft, we'll do a review. Some news for our fans and friends out there. Chief Greengrass and Hype are both going to the draft in Green Bay. Unfortunately, Neckbeard's stuck out here on the West Coast, but you guys are going to be in Green Bay. Really look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do there. Say hi to all the Packer fans for me while you're out there, okay?
We're going to say hi to the Packer fans. We're going to hang out with all the Cheesehead TV, Tom Grassi's of the world, Andy Herman, all the Cheesehead Mafia, the Lambeau fans. But there's going to be fans from all over the world. Dave, a Bear fan, will be there in person, and we're going to see the whole world convene on Titletown. And I think it's going to be really exciting because in the day and age where everyone's on the internet and thinking for the new flashy thing, the glory days, the history of the NFL, I think will be highlighted during the NFL draft. And I think that'll be really cool. And I think it'll instill a lot of pride in Packer fans and NFL fans in general. And it's going to make this draft really exciting. And I think people are going to, when it was in Detroit, they walked away saying like, that was kind of gross. we had to wait in line all day, and it just wasn't that fun. I think people are going to walk away from this draft experience with a different experience. I think they're going to come at it at a different angle and appreciate it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, I just want to remind you one thing, my friend. What is the greatest thing about Lambeau Field?
All the titles we've won?
No. The only reason it exists is because of Papa Bear. He went up to the city of Green. He went up to the city of Green Bay, and he says, "You guys have no idea what you're sitting on here. This is something your city needs to make the investment. You need to build a stadium for this football team." So Papa Bear himself, the Chicago Bears, are the reason why Lambeau Field is there. Otherwise, you guys could be the Rochester Packers for all we know by now.
Yeah, we're going to make sure to give a shout out to Jay Cutler during the draft.
Hey, respect to Papa Bear. Thanks for making a franchise that continually loses to us in the future after we build.
That's actually very helpful.
Thank you so much.
It's very kind. The Bears are very.
We're 1-0 in 2025 against you guys. It was a beautiful game.
Champions of the offseason again. Way to go, guys. You can win the offseason every year. I don't care about that. So.
Yeah, because that technically is an offseason move. Saving the Packers is an offseason move. So that's
champion of the offseason. Thanks for Lambeau, guys. All right. That's all I got, guys. Wonderful times. Can't wait to do this again. Everybody that joined us, everybody that watches this, thanks so much. And more fools to come.
That's
right. Thanks to Neckbeard, the brains of the operation, and Chief Greengrass over here, the brawn of the operation. And we'll see you guys next time on Fool's Ball.